Slam. Blue rocks are being thrown by Stockton, and yellow rocks are being thrown by Hastings. First rock coming down ice, I believe, for Team Hastings. And it looks like they ended up with a zone 3 guard. It's a good start. Teams seem ready to play. The ice is running well. It looks like zone 6. Call for zone 6. Behind the guard. Close out. They're all in now. And joining me on the broadcast today is Mr. St. Hello, Sam. How's it going? Doing well? Nice shot there. And then it was actually a really interesting start to this match. Team Hastings, I believe, was calling the rocker in the house, but it ended up as a guard. But I don't mind that setup. I think both teams had practice before the game started, so they must feel somewhat acclimatized to the ice, which is good.
Yeah, nothing wrong with a little aggressiveness in the first half.
You know, we love to see it as the viewers. So.
Looks like it needs to curl a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, that might have been a little bit of a jinx by me because I said it was hard to hit those outside stones.
We're going to try to avoid those on this broadcast, but we'll see.
I'll bite my tongue next time.
So now we see the second for Team Stockton. Looks like they're trying to put another one in the house, wrap it behind that yellow center line-ish guard. In the forefront, blue sitting 2 with hammer. So that's good. That's good. Close. Gotta make sure we get by that guard. They crashed on the guard, but I don't hate where the rock rolled to because it fully exposes that back 4-foot blue rock. You see Stockton, the skip, Stockton, trying to block that line to make it a little bit more difficult to remove that blue stone. Line looks good out of the hand. It's an interesting observation early on. You see a lot of teams throwing their stones a little bit heavier. So maybe the ice has sped up a little bit since the first practice and second practice. And I think just like in most curling games, the first team to make that adjustment will have the edge early on. First vice rock being thrown by Team Hastings. Looking good. Nice shot, got a little bit of a flip. Interesting enough, if you look across all four sheets, all teams seem to feel comfortable with the ice, have some guards up, some rocks in play. Like to see that confidence, knowing that ice and ready to play. It's awesome. Vice rocks being thrown by Team Stockton, looking for a hit. That got rid of that yellow rock, so that's good for Team Stockton. And it looks like Team Hastings is going after that blue rock on the side of sheet 2. As noted by Sam before, those rocks are a little bit more difficult to hit and remove compared to those rocks closer to the center line, so. Looks like Team Stockton is playing to split the rings. It's never a bad call when you have hammer. Spread those rocks far apart so you can't, it's not as easy to double them off, which is good.
Like it's just slipped through the rings. Team Hastings will have another try at this outside bluestone.
Yeah, I think them going after this outside bluestone will be interesting because they've thrown that path a couple times and they haven't gotten the result they wanted, but it looks like they tightened up the ice a bit. So that should bode well for them.
As you guys can see, they're playing towards the glass. Well, I guess you can't really see the glass above the wall, but they're playing towards the glass because we staggered the starts. So sheets 1 was playing the opposite way. And sheet 4 and sheet 5 are staggered started too, just to keep as much separation as possible during these times. So it looks like Ryan is about to slide out of the hack here.
This one looks like it's a little bit of a better line.
That's a great shot.
Nice shot.
Dylan is going to try and follow him down and do the same thing.
So, Sam, what do you think if you're Dylan here? Are you trying to just nose that and keep it out there so that you're forcing Ryan to throw the same shot again, or do you think he's looking for the roll behind the guard?
I think in the first end you're okay with a nose here and get a blank and move on to even ends and be all warmed up and ready for the second end. If you make the roll, it's not going to be the end of the world. You'll be behind the tee line. So Team Hastings could draw down and force you to one in the first end. But I think either way, I rather nose.
Yeah, I don't hate the nose either, because as blue as last rock, it's an easier blank attempt, less amount of the house to roll to.
Looks like this is going to roll a little bit too far.
So now Ryan has this interesting chance to put a little bit of pressure on Team Stockton. This end kind of exemplifies how important lead rocks are, because Team Hastings' first call was to put it in the house, probably try to exchange some hits and whatnot, but it ended up as a guard, and now the skipper has a chance to apply a little bit of pressure in the first end.
Yeah, that's what we love about the sport. It's a team sport. All 8 stones matter. I believe the skip threw the draw the button for Hammer, so he should have a pretty good feel of draw weight, so this should be close.
It's a nice slide there. I really liked the release. On this ice, you want to make sure that you're not too positive when you're following through with your release, which is good.
This looks really close.
Yeah.
Just didn't get quite enough curl. That was a good attempt to get behind the guard.
It's a nice shot overall,
Yeah,
though, because it really it forces Dylan to a different piece of ice than his first stone, as well as that yellow guard is still in his line of sight.
Yep.
So although it's not buried, it's still kind of a little bit of a mind game, you could argue. But I believe we're in the makings for a blank in our first end, which will be good.
And these shots, as a skip myself, sometimes get in your head because you want to make the blank attempt so bad, but sometimes you miss outside. But we all have to remember the miss is nose. There's nothing wrong with the 1-0 lead. So we'll see where this goes. And I bit my tongue again.
So, new stream rule. We're not going to let Sam try to call the shots. Yeah, and there's laughing from the other coaches, and they're like, yes, we don't need Sam to do that. So, but
hey, as a skip, I've done that many times.
Hey,
and I will continue to do that many times.
I think we've all flashed a few hits in our days, so.
Oh, no. Well, it sets up for an aggressive second end. You know, he wanted to give his team some motivation and score on the even end, so this should be close.
Yeah. Oh, man. We'll just do a little bit of a sheet-by-sheet update. Sheet 1, I swear, it looked like they had every rock and play possible, and I love the confidence that these young teams have really going after it in the first end. I believe we saw a steal of 1 by the yellow team on sheet 1, which would put Mayville up 1-0. What do you see on sheet 4, Sam?
I didn't see anything on sheet 4. And sheet 5 is about to throw their last stone.
And then back to our sheet on sheet 2. Hastings shot seemed to just the nibble the top of the 12 foot. So, and I believe Team Stockton was looking for a zone 7 draw out to the wing. It looks a little hot though. Hopefully it puts on the brakes for us.
Looks like 2 for blue on sheet 4,
Okay.
which is Murray. So it's a steal of 2.
Well, I tell you, these teams are putting it all out there in the first end, and I love to see that. I love the confidence. These teams all had that chance at a first practice, get climatized to the ice, and I feel that they all must feel some degree of confidence with the amount of rocks that they have in play.
For most of these teams, this is their first competitive game of the year because our first event had a compressor malfunction.
Oh no.
Unless they played in the U21 last weekend, which they weren't
allowed to.
So this will be their first competitive game. First competitive game of the season, so it's good to see. Looks like they just squeezed by the guard there, and it's Stockton in the back 12.
Yeah, I think the teams are noticing that the score that they put up is actually one for yellow. But I'm sure they'll change it soon.
Yes. The rule we have here is the vice of the blue team has to put up the score, so that's why you don't see the other skip changing it. You'll see the vice of the blue team come and change it probably after this stone.
And then just a update on sheet 5. There was a ton of rocks in play, which is great to see. And it looks like Team Malima took a point there. Stole against.
Steals across all 4 sheets first.
Got a bunch of thieves on our hands in the first draw.
That was a great draw behind the guard.
So what are you thinking for the call here for Team Hastings, Sam? What options do you see?
Well, I think it depends what kind of team you are. If you're a hitting team, you play the run back. I would probably play the draw. The run back is a lot safer because if you make the peel, that blue stone is open. So, and as we said, it's their first game, so maybe playing as safe as possible is the play right now.
Yeah, see, and I think that's an example of why the sport of curling is so great, because I see this shot that Team Hastings call, and I actually like the call, kind of throwing a hack weight, softer weight hit in hopes that they get the back one, but even if they don't, as long as they throw enough weight to kind of maybe jiggle things around and keep some shooters in play, that's not a bad setup either.
Oh, it looks like just missed the run back.
The one thing I don't hate about that shot is that the yellow team now has control of that key, that front of the house, so that no matter what the case may be, they have an opportunity to promote that forward, maybe make some opportunities, force Team Stockton into a little bit more of a difficult shot, but we'll just have to wait and see for how the end progresses.
I agree. And as you can see, Team Stockton is playing with 3 players, and if it was any season other than this year, it would definitely be a little bit of a disadvantage of having that second sweeper. But since you're only allowed 1 sweeper, you see teams in all of even men's, women's, juniors, and in U18 play with 3 because it's not much of a disadvantage at all this year. Your 1 sweeper gets tired. But looks like he came up a little late on that draw. But that blue one is well protected now. So let's see what Team Hastings does here.
Well, I think considering Team Hastings doesn't have hammer here, and blue is sitting one but behind the tee line, I think I like that call of throwing that come around.
Yep.
Try to get in front of them and try to use both that protection in the guard zone as well as the protection from behind the tee line.
Fully agree. This is Nathan's last stone. And it looks pretty close coming down the ice. This looks really good.
Nice shot.
Yeah, great shot.
And I think that's something else to watch for, Sam, as the ends progress. Talking with the great ice maker they have here, Rob Matheson, he noted how the first couple ends tend to be a little quicker, a little straighter, and then as the ice kind of ages and breaks down, that it tends to swing a little bit more and the speed comes off a little quicker.
So Team Stockton is going to try and follow him down here. Looks like it's hanging a little bit. Hopefully it cuts it. Let's try it. Just like you said, the ice is speeding up.
I tell you, we're no good at this.
No.
Oh man. No, and I think playing on this ice before, I think something that these younger skips need to keep in mind is that depending on where the stone is released and the path and trajectory that it takes down the ice will dramatically change how much it curls and the speed that it requires to get the result you're looking for. And I think that's something that they need to take in mind.
This is Matthew's first stone of the second end. And looks like the sweeper is sweeping hard to get it there. With yellow being shot rock, light is a fine miss, and as some people don't like the word tolerance, it's a great tolerance.
Yeah, that's definitely the tolerance of that shot,
Yeah.
and I think we're gonna see it looks like a peel from Stockton, and considering they have hammer in the setup of the situation, I really love this call.
It's a great call.
Like, the worst thing that you can do is get boxed out, and Stockton saying, nope, I'm not going to get boxed out. I want to make sure I have that draw to the 4-foot need be.
Yeah. It's a great call. Second end of the first game of your competitive year this year. That's a very mature call.
It's a double peel there.
Made shot.
Yeah, nice shot.
Opens up both sides, so skipper will be able to see both sides of the bucket, and we'll see where Hastings goes. I'm assuming they want to go top 4 here. But a nice tight guard works just as well. Keep the aggression. Don't mind it whatsoever.
That is something that none of these teams lack.
Yes.
Aggression.
It's great to see.
Yes, that is good.
This finishes, that's a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
A little deeper than they wanted, but it works. Stockton's probably going to try and play the double here. And a nose is just fine, because it leaves your blue in a really tricky spot for them to move it around.
Yeah, I don't mind calling that top 12 weight for that kind of makes the double a little more difficult. But
Yeah.
I think the tolerance, as we said before, was maybe being on the lighter side of that shot instead of the deeper, because the deeper you are, the more potential a double could have been set up.
Absolutely. This looks close. This is kind of the get out of jail card for Team Stockton here. Just missed it on the wide side.
Not the result they were looking for, but I think I don't mind it, considering that
It still clears up the front.
it clears up the front. They have it's difficult, but they still have a way in to score their point, which I think as skips can attest to. It's always nice to have that shot to kind of have that button shot to kind of score that point in an end that might not be turning out how you would hope it would.
Yep. And it looks like Ryan is going to try and put that guard up that they called on the Vice's last rock and keep the aggressive nature going here. So he just threw a draw on his last end, so he should be pretty close on this.
Slide note here. Oh,
Sweeper, yeah, I love that sweeping communication with the hand up, especially with masks on. It's hard to hear right away out of the skipper's hands, so that's great communication.
I think I see plan B.
It looks like they're trying to rub off the guard here.
Oh, okay.
That's a good call by the Vice to call that plan B there. That's not easy to do when the rock's coming at you.
No, and it's a great example about how communication is such an important part of curling. No matter what rocks you throw, what roles you play on the ice, having that constant communication can really help teams get the most out of all the shots they throw.
Absolutely. Communication is something you work on from when you first start curling to even the pros. Still talk about communication every game, so it's a big part to learn, and it's good to see in their first game of their competitive season this year that they're already doing that.
So it looks like Dylan is going to try to get in there for a first shot. They've seen this path a couple times, so I'm confident that they know how the ice is going to move in this spot. I think it's just getting that weight down in this piece of ice is the key to really make it all happen here.
I think it's really important here that the tolerance, there isn't much tolerance, but the tolerance is to be a full 8 above the rock and not heavy, just so you can tap it on your next stone.
Sweeper's really going
they're
hard.
sweeping hard here. The line looks really good.
Is it there? Oh.
And you know what? That's exactly what I said. That's a great tolerance.
It's a great effort by the
and,
sweeper.
A good sweep. He swept the whole way. So it looks like yellow's still sitting too. It's hard to tell by the Junior Slams logo. Whoever put that there.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
But I believe that's the skip's first draw since the draw the button for hammer, because in the first end he threw 2 hits, so that's not a bad adjustment, considering the ice is sped up since his draw for hammer.
Yeah, and I think as a skip as well, I think early on in your game, knowing that you have those shots in, or you have that line that you're comfortable throwing, even if they didn't get there for shot this time, they'll remember that path later on, and it just builds the confidence for other shots, other draws that could have more vital impacts on the game. So
it looks like Ryan is going to try and make Stockton's shot as hard as possible by putting another guard up and protecting that 4-foot. So we'll see where this goes. He should be close because he just threw his last guard. If he puts us in a good spot, then Dylan is going to have to make a nice double tap. So we'll see where this goes. Sweeper called heavy right out of his hand. Like we said about communication, that's great communication.
I think the rock is out there in a little bit of a different path.
I think it's
though.
a fresh path.
So it might slow down a bit for them. We'll see.
That ended in a perfect spot.
Great shot.
That's a
great
shot.
Team communication.
Yeah.
Love to see that in the early season.
Yeah. So I think Dylan's going to have to take his medicine and draw to the back one like he's calling. And if it does curl enough and you get shot, that's great. But if not, giving up a steal one is not the end of the world in the second end.
And yeah, exactly. And I think right now, this is almost like a free shot for him.
Yeah.
There's not as much risk as the first shot where he was drawing against 3 yellow counters, and now he gets that opportunity to learn the other side of the ice and try to get his 1 point. And
this is another great call. Sometimes you'd see teams play the double run, and this is taking your medicine, giving up a steal and one, and going for your deuce in the third end. Another mature call at the U18 level. I'd like to see that.
Alright, got a draw on its way for Dylan.
Looks like this is a big sweep, try to hold the line.
I tell you, Dylan really likes to use his sweepers, getting all of his money. Oh,
that was a great
by
sweep.
the guard.
Great
Ooh,
sweep.
It's close.
And he gives them their one, and that's like I said before, a very mature call and a great shot.
That sweeper is really getting his money's worth, Sam. They like to use them as much as they can, which is great.
Nothing wrong with that. That's why they're there. I in my team, I try not to miss heavy ever. I pay for it sometimes.
So it's looking like we have a score update on sheet 1. Blue scored 1 point, so that leads the bout on sheet 1 at 1 apiece.
Nice to see close games in the first game.
Well, I tell you, these athletes have no problem with rocks in play, and that is great to see. They met the comfortableness with the ice and their teams, and they're just willing to go after it, and it's really nice to see.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And across all 4 sheets, this is the men's first game of the season, like I've said multiple times, and the COVID restrictions of them getting used to standing apart from each other, they all look great so far, so it's good to see. And another big sweep. Sweepers are working hard today. It's great.
Get that broom tap going. We'd love to see the following those COVID restrictions, as well as showing support for their teammates. That's great. So I think Dylan is taking a little bit of a different approach to this end, and I don't mind it, considering that so far it seems that yellow has really done a good job at controlling that scoring zone from the 4-foot up to the 12-foot. Oh, maybe I was wrong.
And he's making you bite your tongue.
Yeah.
I like the corner guard. You're down 2. I know it's an odd end, but that rocking the top 12 shouldn't. It's not a money stone, so they're not good. I like the corner guard, but if they like the hit, I like it too.
To be honest, Sam, I actually prefer the hit here because make the hit, bring it out to the corner, see what the other team does, and then you have a chance to throw your corner guard there. And if you stick this rock out there, it really it really puts the pressure on them to make sure.
I 100% agree, and it just looks like this one curled on them, and that's okay. I like the idea of keeping it clean after the first 2 stones too. After the first couple rocks, just to put up your corner on the next stone maybe, even though the hit didn't go your way.
Yeah, and I think that's something that is really important in understanding strategy, is seeing kind of how you're going to position your first 4 stones to then position your last 4 stones to get the goal of the end that you're looking for. So like if you're Team Hastings, maybe you're looking for a force or a steal. If you're Team Stockton, you're trying to find ways to score multiple points. So I believe they're looking, Team Stockton is looking for a guard.
No, that's Team Hastings.
Or pardon me, yeah, Team Hastings.
It just looks like it's over curling on them, so they're trying to get it into the rings.
Well, I think that's maybe something that we need to look into. Keep in mind going forward, like we said at the start of the broadcast, as the ice through the first couple ends, as it starts to break down, it really does swing.
Yeah.
And I think Team Stockton sees that corner guard and joyfully tries to draw around it. So
Yeah, a little skip and Dylan step there. Nothing wrong with that.
I'm not the only one who noticed it. That's good. So.
And that's the beauty of U18 curling, is you're going to see some misses, but it's fun to see them learn and fun to see them make tolerances. And though this is hitting the guard, now you have 2 corner guards. So
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what the 3rd over curl of this end so far, and we're only on
the 3rd.
yeah, but we're only on 2nd stones this end.
Yep.
So I think something, maybe the ice is changing, adjusting. So we'll see who picks up on it first.
Yeah, absolutely. The skips are going to have to give more ice, so we'll see. Looks like Ryan is giving them a little more ice this time, which is great.
We swear we don't have Bluetooth into the players. We promise.
It's a steal of 1 on sheet 5, which is for Mulima again. Mulima, my bad.
Yeah. No.
I'll get better.
And just glancing over at sheet 5 here and there, they're really going after it.
I think every rock has been in play at both ends so far.
I know, it's the confidence that these teams have to go for it is astounding. And I don't know if everyone just woke up this morning and decided on the same game plan, or if just everyone has so much comfort with the ice that they're going for it. But it's great, and you're seeing it in the shot making.
Yeah. Team Hastings guard overcurled a little bit, but that was actually the tolerance, because now it kind of covers those corner guards that now Team Stockton is going to have a hard time getting under those. So I think he is going to try and draw through the port.
So what would you do here, Sam, if you were in this position? What rock do you see as the problem rock that you think, wow, this one's really hurting me?
Yeah, I think I would be hitting the rock in the top 12 or the guard that they just threw and rolling over to a corner. Just because both of those stones are kind of in your way to draw around the corner guard. Now, if you make this through the port, it's a great shot, and you're going to be buried. It's just a lot harder. So it looks really close from here.
Yeah.
Looks like they got to go for line.
Yeah. Oh.
And see, it's just the difficulty of that shot was a lot harder than the hit. But, you know, you look at the scoreboard, you're down 2, and you might want to get a little more aggressive and try and score. So,
yeah.
There's methods to both calls. And it looks like a timeout for Team Stockton. Team Hastings here.
Yes, Team Hastings.
shots here. Just to give an update for sheet 4, Team Jones took 4 with hammer in the second end to give them a 2-point lead going into the third. And like we've been saying, every sheet has rocks in play, and it's great to see. So Team Hastings coach is coming up after that timeout, telling them to play the draw, which I like, just to put more pressure on Team Stockton and putting another Yellowstone in the rings, and I like that call a lot. And we've seen this path curl a lot this end, so looks like the sweepers head down, sweeping hard. Get it by that yellow guard, and it looks like it's going to over curl. And looks like we're playing with every rock in play, so that is awesome to see.
Well, I think that's the overarching trend through all 4 sheets of play right now, is they're not scared of having rocks in play.
And it looks like Dylan got my signal of telling him to play the hit after that.
To clarify, we don't give signals, but sometimes they just like to read our mind.
We were just talking about it.
But
yes, I like this call a lot. It opens up the play, and if you make the hit and roll, I like the hit a lot here. You make the hit and roll, and Team Hastings will have to chase you because they have a 2-point lead. So even if this overcurls into the guards, your blue might sneak into the rings. So we'll see.
Oh.
And our first plan C of the game.
Yes. We love to see them, though.
Yeah. That's not the way they called it, but it's the way it was made. And now Team Hastings is going to try and make the draw around here. Let's see if he adjusts his broom, because it's been curling here quite a bit, and this looks like more ice than he gave last time. So that's a good adjustment by Ryan. And like we've seen in the first 2 ends, the sweepers are working hard. As you guys can see on the live stream, the second sweeper is staying 6 feet behind the stone. That is one of our rules, just to keep space, and they can still communicate to their skip, but they're staying behind the stone, and it's good to see the COVID rules be listened to, and everyone's doing a great job so far.
No, and I think right there, Stockton has a little bit of an opportunity here to really push the envelope in this end, and maybe put a little bit of extra pressure on Team Hastings. I think they took a sufficient amount of ice to get by that. So sweepers really going hard here to get it by that guard, putting everything they have into it. They did wreck on the guard, but where that blue shooter rolled to is something that's usable by Team by Team Stockton to advance it forward into the 4-foot. I think something that we saw in the second end is that Team Stockton got closed out of the scoring zone a little bit, and I think that although that blue rock didn't end up where the target was, where it rolled to is still close enough to the house that it's a usable stone. the Vice first rock, or pardon me, second rock from Team Hastings Vice. Looks like they navigated the port. So Team Stockton here getting a chance at the same shot, and look at that, he gave just enough ice to get by that guard that they ticked over before. So I think they have the correct ice to get around that guard. We'll just have to wait and see if the rest of the shot works out for them.
And looks like the sweeper trying to make it curl, and it just needs to sit. And it does in the back 8. And that's a great shot. That's not a huge port. And now Team Hastings is going to have to follow him down. Now Ryan is going to have to follow him down. Let's see if the sweepers continue to work hard as they have been this game. Nathan and Jordan have been doing a great job on Team Hastings. And Jacob and Cole. I know one of them are not here in between Cole, Jacob, and Dylan and Micah, but they're doing a great job so far, and this has been a good game, so we'll see. Let's see if Ryan can follow him down here.
So it looks like Ryan took a little bit less ice, but I think there might be a little bit of a difference in release between the two skips. So maybe that can account for the couple of inches less that they took.
Once this catches the curl, it should slow down. This looks like it's close.
Yeah. Really interesting to see where that rock stopped, because it looked like it was coming in hot most of the way down, and then all of a sudden it just put the brakes on.
It's the casting curse again, I said as soon as it starts to curl. But it is the tolerance to the shot, though, because now Team Dylan Stockton is going to have a hard time getting to second shot. I like the tap call to sit to. I think that's absolutely the call, and it looks like Dylan's going to call that. And Micah is holding the broom. This three-man team is doing great so far.
I feel like the scoreboard of our game doesn't necessarily determine or dictate how close it was, or how close it is, pardon me, overall. It's just, right now the scoreboard is just a shot here or there difference, resulting in a point here or there different on the scoreboard. So it's great to see how ready to play these athletes are, especially given the global circumstances we're living in. It's just great to see it. It really is.
And the sweeper is getting his money's worth here.
So that was a great sweep by Cole, especially even if they didn't get the result they were looking for. I don't mind that plan B, because it kind of makes it much more difficult for Ryan to kind of get in there and cause a little bit of havoc. Him and Matt are kind of trying to figure out their way in there, and I think it's really tough. So maybe a tap on that yellow through the port, or just a wide draw potentially. I think they're looking at a run back right now. My only concern is if you start to run rocks in, and if you don't make the shot exactly as called, you could potentially leave an opening for your opposition to come in there and score a second point. And I think right now, looking at the scoreboard, considering that Team Hastings is up by 2 points, trying to really force the single point here isn't a bad idea.
Yeah, it's really hard to get in there. I think this is quite a hard shot, but there's no risk to it. The shot they decided, the yellow into the blue, just because you can't knock any of the blue rocks in there.
I love to see what just happened on our sheet. I love to see that, pardon me, I'd love to see what Nathan did there. They just had a little talk and they said, okay, look, we're up 2 points.
I like this call.
It's not bad to give a point here, and the only way that Team Stockton can easily get in there for a second point is promoting that blue guard.
Yeah.
So I really think that was, again, great communication amongst the guys, and just really kind of restating what the end goal was.
Yeah. I like this because even if your guard is heavy and you draw into the top 8, and it's going to be hard for Dylan Stockton to follow him to get 2. So I like the guard / draw here, and there's absolutely no risk to this shot either. It's just trying to make it as hard as possible for Dylan to score 2.
And I think right now, too, for Team Stockton, if I'm Dylan right now, I'm really happy knowing that I have a point on the board right now, and I have an opportunity to convert that multiple score, which is so critical when you have hammer. So do you think he's going to tap, or he's going to come around it, Sam?
I think the tap, just because he knows the line for it, and it's a little bit easier of a shot. Because you can make the tap, with hack to back line to back 12 with really good sweeping weight, so it's a little easier than the straight draw to 8 foot.
Yeah, well, I think the other thing the guys are taking into consideration with this shot call is that they haven't seen many wide draws out there. So knowing what that path is to get in there, it might be a little bit less warmed up, meaning it could be a little straighter, a little quicker, and I think they're just going with what they know and what they're comfortable with. And as long as this tap shot isn't being thrown with a considerable amount of weight, it's quite likely that they're going to have a favorable outcome out of the shot.
This side of the ice has been curling a lot, so Cola's going to have to get his sweeping skills into it on this one, I think.
Yeah, it seems to really be coming in there. Do they ever go for the straight draw?
Oh. You just don't want to tap the yellow one up too far. And it just overcurled on him. So 1 blue, 1 for Team Stockton to get them on the board. And just to update on the rest of the sheets, there was a steal of 3 for Team Stratton on sheet 1. A steal of 1 for Team Jones to give them a 5-2 lead. And sheet 5 is just a little bit behind compared to the rest of the sheets. And they've been playing with every rock in play every end, so that tends to happen.
Sam, I have to make note of it because I think it's the first time that it's happened today. On sheet 4, I just saw the yellow team peel a corner guard. Oh. I know that isn't that exciting, but it is the first time that there's a lead and they're saying, know what? We're doing well. We don't need every rock in play. And
Absolutely.
I like to see that these athletes have that ability to kind of shift gears, change gears, understand where they are in the game, and adjust their strategy accordingly.
Yeah, it's a great call when you have a 5-2 lead.
Yeah.
Especially when you're sitting 1. So it looks like Dylan's got a little mixed up and still thinking that he has hammer. Throws the corner guard for the first stone. And Cole made it, so, you know, he's just listening to his skipper. And now Ryan's like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Let's throw up the other corner. I like that call. Now you're going to have two corners, and it kind of brings the play to the side, which is exactly what you want when you have hammer and with a 1-point lead
So
for Ryan.
So if you're Team Stockton right now, and pending that Jordan makes this corner guard, Sam, what are you calling if you're Stockton? Are you saying, okay, I'm going to come around the corner guard I threw, I'm going to put it a zone 3 guard, I'm going to put it in the house top 4? Like, what do you think the best call is?
I think a tight center guard is absolutely the call, being down 1. Solely because you want to bring the play to the center. They can't hit it yet with the 5-rock rule, and that's what... Oh, he's asking. I like your first call, Dylan.
Yeah, well,
And you know what? It's either or.
Yeah.
Some teams are comfortable playing around corner guards, but I think when you're down 1, I think you absolutely want to try and bring the play to the center to get those steals going.
Yeah, so I think we
And
just...
that's the call, which
Yeah,
is great.
I think we saw Stockton, Team Stockton signal for a zone 5 draw on the center line, which isn't a bad call. I think, again, keeping in mind here that our tolerance is on that lighter side. So if it ends up a guard, we're not shaking our heads. That's totally good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it looks like he wants to put it top 4, which is absolutely fine because they're probably more comfortable with the hitting game, and that's why you're calling it. But
I don't mind where
it goes exactly where I want it to go.
Yeah, I don't mind where it ends up right there. I think the one thing that younger skips need to take into consideration when they're making that kind of judgment call is that the only place that you don't want that rock when you're trying to bring play to the middle is biting top 12 foot. Because if you bite top 12 foot on the center line and they nose hit you, because of the 5-rock rule, you can't really remove that stone, which is taking up a part of that scoring zone.
Absolutely.
So
now you're going to see Jordan try to put it behind the corner guard that he just put up. And it's looking like it just grabbed something.
Ooh.
Oh, that looked like it grabbed something because it curled quite a bit near the end there. And a little fortunate for them because that was looking quite hot. So both teams have had some little rub fortune, which is perfectly fine in the first competitive game of the season.
Yeah, we like to see it to even out over both teams because you don't want stuff like that to favor one.
No, the curling gods are usually pretty even.
Yeah. So, just a score update for those listening in from home. Sheet 5, Team Dobson took 2 points in the 5th end, so it's all tied up over there, 2-2. And like the common theme of the day so far is many rocks in play all day, every day, all end.
It's a great shot.
Yeah, it was a great hit and roll.
Great sweep by Team Stockton. By Cole. It's a great shot. And puts the pressure on Ryan here and to call, and I love this call. You make the hit, even if you hit and roll to the corner guard or just a straight peel, and Team Stockton's going to have to make 5 perfect guards to keep the steal in play, right? So I like this call.
Very mature strategy on display by both teams. I really like the patience. I like seeing that they understand when they might be in a tough spot and they need to change gears. It's really good to see that.
Just like this rock is drifting off to the side. And now if you are Dylan, where's your next call going here?
If I'm Dylan, I'm thinking let's take control of that zone that they really had us beat in the first couple ends. So I don't mind the guard here. I think the guard is the safest shot. If you were really looking to put some pressure on there, you could freeze on top of that blue stone. It's just the degree of difficulty for that shot is much higher than just this guard. So I really like this shot call.
I really like a high guard, making that double peel as hard as possible. And it looks like Cole's trying to get this to curl for Micah here, and it looks like the shot is made that Dylan called. So if you're Ryan, you're probably still want to peel that center guard because that is still your problem stone. And that's exactly the call he's making. I told him to take the earpiece out, and he didn't. So.
Yeah. No, I think over the first 4 ends we've seen here, shout out to our sweepers, Cole from Team Stockton, Jordan and Nathan from Team Hastings. They've really been helping their team make as many shots as possible, and it's just
peel.
It's great to see.
Yeah.
Another great peel with another great sweep.
Yep. It just goes to show you how important your front end is. So your skip has, your goal as a front end player is that your skip has the easiest shot possible. And sometimes skips have to make the hard ones, but that's why they get paid the big bucks. And Dylan, Micah here is going to try and replace that guard. And he just threw it. The weight should be close. We're coming from the other side. My personal preference, I probably would have thrown the same handle just because he just threw it. But by the fourth end, you should know both slide paths, so it's whatever you're comfortable with. And Cole is head down sweeping like he's been all game.
Yeah.
And Micah's like, you know what, Sam, I'm gonna make it both ways, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Well, it's also good to see that both skips and both teams are understanding that as the ice is changing, that they need to change their broom position.
Absolutely.
Because if you get stuck in the same sort of pattern and not remembering that the ice is changing while you're playing on it, you might not get as precise of a line shot as a guard is.
Absolutely. And I like this, just the single peel call. He looked at the double peel, but that outside blue one is not your problem stone. And Nathan is head down sweeping. And it's a made peel. It's a great shot.
Great shot.
And this is kind of going to be a repetition until maybe we get a miss. It's going to be guard, peel, guard, peel, guard, peel. So Micah's trying to put his guard back in the same spot, and it looks like it's hitting a new path out there, and it stayed a little straighter than they wanted it to. And this is the opportunity for Ryan Hastings to get in there and make a nice hit and roll. A nice hit and roll here, not Ryan. Matt's going to want to come down here and make a hit and roll and make that blue in the rings of yellow. And it's just nice to see everyone is just smiling out there, having fun. It's the first game of their competitive season, and you do hear a lot of yelling and a lot of competitiveness, but it's good to see smiles on the ice in the competitive atmosphere. And this hit looks like it's kind of tracking down the center line. There it goes. And just right on the nose. So didn't get the roll he wanted, but makes the shot. So now Dylan Stockton is going to want to make a nice hit and roll here. I like the weight control these teams are picking. You know, they're not throwing too light, like they're not throwing board weight, and they're playing this control weight that they can steer with the sweepers that makes the shot a lot easier and brings the whole team involved. When you throw normal and peel weight, it kind of takes your sweepers out of the equation. So I like that these teams are throwing control weight, especially in the first game of the season. I'm sure all of these teams have been on the ice now that more clubs are opening up, but it's great to see all these good things happening in our first game of the weekend. And like we've seen all game, Cole is head down sweeping, and he's definitely going to want a big lunch after this game.
Yeah.
This looks really close. Looks like they're going to want to sweep big to go behind the far corner, and that's a great shot. Kind of spun right in the hole. Didn't quite get the yellow out. Looks like he was a little lighter than what he called. So now Ryan is going to want to try and make the hit and roll through the hole, which will be a tough shot, but made, you'll be sitting too.
Yeah, I think if you're Team Hastings right now, you're just looking at the scoreboard and you're saying, okay, if I can get through that hole, remove that blue stone, I'm sitting 2 points with hammer. That's always the place you want to be.
Absolutely. It's definitely not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, they haven't seen this path, so that's probably why Ryan and Matt are talking about it. Just because the play hasn't been to the side, so it's kind of a guess where you put the broom. But it looks like they've come to a consensus. And, you know, tolerance, if you peel out one of those blue guards and make that blue wide open, it makes your last shot a lot easier. So hopefully, obviously we want made shots, but you always have to think about what's the best miss.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that, Sam. So if you're Ryan right now and you're sitting in the hack, are you thinking it's okay if I'm a little wide? It's okay if I'm a little tight to kind of move around that guard position? Like, which guard would you rather err on the side if you were to miss?
I think I'd rather peel the one in the edge of the forefoot, just because if you do get a miss, you peel that guard, it's hard for blue to get any closer to the forefoot than full 8, and then you still have full 4 to draw to. And with being up 1, Ryan might decide to hit on his last 2. But let's see Ryan make it through the hole here and sit 2.
Ryan looks close. It's a tight hole.
Looks like Jordan's head down sweeping, and it's a good catch by Jordan, so the microphone doesn't go head first into the ice.
We thank you, Jordan. The broadcasters behind us are clapping.
And that rock just overcurled on them. And like I said before, that Matt and Ryan were discussing where to put that broom, it was kind of a guess because no one's played out there, and that just curled more than they expected. So now Dylan is going to want to, I would think, draw around the center guard and put as much pressure as possible on. But they might know the draw around the corner a little better for draw speed wise, so we'll see what they decide.
Yeah, I don't mind the draw around the corner, especially if you know the speed, but if I'm Dylan right now, I'm thinking, how can I make Ryan's life as hard as possible? I'm thinking, let's put it top 4, let's put it behind the guard and really put the pressure on, because I think they have, with that, where that blue guard is positioned, they have that control of that scoring zone. So, yeah, but I don't mind it. I don't mind around the corner guard either.
I think they just know this path more. That's the draw to the center was kind of a guess because all last end that side was over curling on them. So Dylan probably knows where to put the broom a little better for this draw than the last. And I think the most important thing is making a draw so you force them to draw against 2, right?
No,
and make them play the tough draw to center because it curls so much over there.
No, that's true. I think if you're Team Stockton right now, we need to be out counting second shot currently at Yellowstone. That's A1 priority. And position would be nice, but at the end of the day, it's got to be there. And again,
I think it's time to make a tally chart of how often these sweepers are sweeping head down.
oh my God, I tell you, these sweepers deserve the biggest shout out. they're putting everything they have into sweeping those stones as far as they can.
That was a great sweep. It still came up short, and now Ryan is going to have to make a tough little hit for 2 here.
Have we ever seen a team hit a rock on this side of the ice this far out, Sam?
No, this is the first time this far out. I think historically this far out is a little bit straighter than going inside out. As the ice maker's staring at me.
Yeah. We only say truthful things on this broadcast, so Rob Matheson is a great ice maker.
He is a great ice maker.
But it is, the further out, the straighter it does tend to be. So we will see, though, because it is uncharted territory.
It is. This is a fresh path. We've only seen a couple draws kind of come down here. We haven't seen a hit. So I think it looks like he's throwing about control. Weight. I think they decided. Him and Nathan are talking about the weight right now. And then I like to see the routines that these players have. They seem to be settling into the hack the same way every time, and I think that's really important, especially at this level of the game. And nothing like your first pressure shot of the season. So.
No, exactly. This shot could be one of those moments in the game that determine the outcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's really vital to.
And as a skip, it always feels good. I've always enjoyed throwing pressure shots, and it's the first one of the season. Always seems to be fun. And I didn't want to be right, but this one kept a little straighter than they expected, and it's a steal of 1 and a tie game. Nothing like a close game for our first stream game of the weekend.
And to be honest, Sam, I got the hog-to-hog hit weight on that, and I didn't mind the hit weight. It was about a 10-second hit weight, and I think that's about what you're looking for. So I think it just maybe not fully understanding that part of the ice.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like we said, it was the first time going down that side, and up here, because we've played on this ice,
yes,
we know that it's a little straighter on the wide side. So I like the 10 seconds. I like that weight, and he'll adjust for the next time he's throwing out there.
Yeah. And I think one thing too, it's easier for us to just say what's going on from our opinion, but these players are living it. They're putting everything they have into their shots, and it's just a different viewpoint.
You know what? I always play 100% behind the glass.
Don't we all?
Yeah. Some people don't. But
So I think, again, we're seeing that trend of aggressive play, and I love the confidence these teams have. Stockton started the first quarter of our game down 2 points, and now all of a sudden, point by point, they're marching back. So it'll be really interesting to see how this end unfolds.
Looks like we're calling the draw around the center, which I like. I know it's a tie game, but we're on odd ends. And if you're playing the scoreboard, you probably don't love the corner guard here, because you still advantage you. You're tied with Hammer, right? So I like the draw around the center. It looks like it overcurled on them. And maybe make a little bit of a split. So you know what? That works too. Now you have a corner guard, a center guard, and the leads look great so far.
So we're seeing Dylan signal for a top 4-foot draw behind their recently promoted Blue Rock, and I just want to notice, end by end, I see the broom of Stockton and Hastings adjust to the ice. I see it increasing, and it's getting further out there, which shows that A, the ice is curling more, which all of these athletes love to see, as well as B, both teams are noticing and willing to make the adjustment that the ice is forcing them to do.
Just an update across all sheets. Team Stratton is beating Team Mayville 5-1 after the 4 ends. We have a tie game in our live stream sheet. Team Jones is beating Team Murray 6-2 after 4, and Team Dobson just stole one and is now beating Malima 3-2. And I will learn how to say Malima throughout the weekend.
I'm proud of you, Sam. Keep going on.
And I'm sure he'll be proud too.
And in terms of style play, shout out to Team Jones on sheet 4 with the first defensive peel that we've seen. I'm very proud of them. I like to play a little bit closer to the chest, so I like to see that defensive play here and there. But there's no short...
No favorites.
No favorites. But shout out to the defensive play, which is something we're not seeing here on sheet 2. Those leads have the card weight down pat.
Jordan and Cole have been setting up those guards great every end, and this looks like to be a very aggressive end, which Dylan is quite happy with, I think, being tied without hammer. So Cole's going to try and put this as close to the top of the button as possible. But we're working on that curling side. It's been over curling for these teams for the last couple ends.
And look at that one. It was almost like halfway down the sheet, it just took a turn. I don't know if it grabbed or if the ice is just moving that much.
I think that side of the sheet is over curled on both teams multiple times in the last few ends, and it's just up to the skips to give as much ice as possible, as Ryan Hastings is now doing. He's almost on the edge of the sheet, so it's hard to give much more ice than that.
Yeah, exactly.
So Nathan's going to try and put this at the top of the button, just like Cole tended to do, and we'll see if that side of the sheet continues to curl as much as it is.
So Sam, I have a question for you about the ice. So if, like you just said, Hastings can't give more ice than he just did, so what else can the players do to try to straighten out the trajectory of their stones to make sure that other guards and whatnot aren't coming into play?
Just a little bit too much weight here, and it seems to be sliding out the back. Ooh. Oh, it stops at the edge of the 12 right when I say that. When you are right on the edge of the sheet, as a thrower, you can add a couple more rotations on the rock. Mm-hmm. But you also want to, that's a thing you have to practice, because you don't want to pop it and then your rock is going to go a different direction than your skip tends for it to be. So as a thrower, you have to learn, especially in curling club ice, to throw with, you want your average, which you always throw about 3.5 rotations. And then sometimes as you grow older and you learn on straighter ice that you need to have that 1.5, 2 rotations. And you also need to have that 5, 6 rotations when you get on ice like arena ice or ice that like here that curls a lot. So it's something that I am still learning to this day, and even the pros continue to learn. So it's just something you have to adapt to.
Yeah. And a great shot there by Team Stockton, trying to navigate this very swingy side of the ice, and I think maybe I saw an extra rotation.
Ice Maker continues to glare at us. Rob, it's okay.
Rob,
There's nothing wrong with curly ice.
We know you're trying your best, Rob. We love you. We love your facility. Your staff is great. Keep up the good work.
And you know what? Both teams have gotten by those center guards the last 2 times, so it looks like they found the sweet spot of where the broom goes.
Yeah.
And this one seems to be curling on them a little bit, and Jordan has tried his hardest to get it by, and it just rubs off the guard.
Well, and I think that shot kind of goes into what you were saying before, that one maybe looked like it had a little bit of a softer rotation, which may have made it curl more. But if I'm Dylan here, I'm thinking I'm in a good spot in this end. I wouldn't mind actually wrapping around that guard, top 8, top 4, and again, thinking that your tolerance is the guard.
Yeah.
It's okay if you come up short, because there's a little bit of shrapnel out front, so it's hard to really access the scoring zone right now.
Yeah, that's absolutely what I would have called top 8, top 4, and then tolerance is definitely light, but you can call this guard, and tolerance would be top 4, top 8. So there's arguments to both calls, because if this finishes where they want it to, Ryan Hastings is going to have a hard time getting into the 8-foot. It looks like he's going to be able to play that wide draw, because that guard is a little bit lighter than they want it to. or you can start throwing peels, but I think it's a little bit late for that. It is Matt's first stone, so if my coach was listening, Stu Anderson would say it's never too late to bail. So.
Get the bucket. Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing that both teams are understanding and looking at is that this path has been thrown for about half the end. And I feel that this side of the ice, even though it curls more, they have a better understanding of what the rock and what the surface will do. So I think that's something that they're kind of keening in on and changing.
Yeah.
So Jordan sweeping as hard as he can to get it by that guard. Breathe in.
Oh, great
room,
sweep.
tons
Great
of
sweep.
room. Jordan knew that rock was by as soon as he let it go. There was no hope.
Sit. Ooh. And they stay as shot rock. That was a great team shot.
Yes.
Great line call to butter by the guard, especially where the weight was being a little heavy, and they needed to be as close as they could to that guard so they could hit the backing. And now Dylan's calling the freeze, which is a great call. And Micah is going to want to try and just follow Matt down and repeat for the rest of the end. And that is not a very big port, as you guys can't see right now. It's only a couple of rock lengths, so that's a great shot by Matt to get through that. And now Micah is going to try and repeat that. And this one looks like it's trying. It's
close.
It gets through the hole.
So,
a little bit of directional sweeping here by Cole, and another great sweep. And
another great team shot. Yep. And I think that's something that, regardless of the outcome of our sheet, both teams can leave the ice surface with their heads held high, knowing that they both made a bunch of team shots.
Absolutely. And the first game of the season, competitive game of the season, that's exactly what you're looking for. This whole event is not really about outcome. It's more about being on the ice as a team and learning as a team. With COVID and U18 and U20 nationals being canceled this year, this whole year is kind of a learning year and a development year, and it's great to see first game of the season for these teams competitively. It's great to see a lot of good communication by both teams.
Oh.
And a timeout by Team Hastings.
So what do you think the coach of Team Hastings is going out to tell them? I know that Hastings went up and signaled the peel. What are you thinking, Sam?
I think Matt just made the draw. So I think their coach Art is really just wanting them to make the shot he just threw and put the pressure back on Team Stockton to get through that hole. Because both teams made it through the hole, but it's not the biggest hole on the sheet. So I like this call a lot, and it should be, that's what their coach is going to go and tell them. So.
Yeah. And I like that aggressive play I like to see the aggressive play because they know that part of the ice. They know what to expect, and they know how they need to throw the stone to get it to the position that they want it to end up in. Yeah. So I think having that knowledge would also help them in determining if they're feeling the peel or the draw.
Absolutely. And as a coach, you're just going down there and you're suggesting what you think is the right call, and if the team agrees, that's what you play. And you know what, if they say, oh, we want to peel and make sure Ryan has an open shot on his last to score, then I don't think you can argue that either. I like the draw myself because you've just made it. Matt just made it in his first shot. But you know what? The peel is the safe call when you're tied with hammer.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this shot call really depends on comfort level.
Absolutely.
Where you are in the game, where you are in the end, who's throwing it, and who feels comfortable. Because if you have a player that doesn't feel comfortable with the draw, but your coach goes out there and tells them to throw the draw, you're not going to get the outcome you're looking for. So the player that's throwing, as well as the team, needs to fully commit to whatever strategic call they make here.
Absolutely. And looks like they're going to change to the draw, which Matt should be comfortable with because he just threw it.
Yeah.
So, as long as the whole team is invested in it, I like the draw call.
Yeah, and I also like that the coach took the time to kind of come out, have that reset the team, hit the button, and kind of bring everyone back together on the same page so that when you're moving forward in a critical shot like this, we all know what to expect.
Yeah, absolutely. Now Hastings coach Art is going to have to sit on his hands for the rest of the game until the other team calls a timeout.
Line's close.
But it might be worth it. Looks like Nathan is sweeping head down, try to get it by.
Oh my.
A great sweep by Nathan. And it goes just the way the coach drew it up.
That's a 5 out of 4 when you're scoring that shot because you get the assist for the coach's intervention there.
Both these teams are making that port look easy.
I know, it's not that wide. It's a foot or two at most.
Yeah.
So no, it just speaks to the quality of play that these athletes bring to the surface.
Absolutely. Now a little bit of pressure on Dylan to follow Matt down here.
And I feel like that's something that we've seen throughout all 4 of our ends is that it really is jockeying for position and one team trying the best to apply as much pressure as they can to the other team, and it's really nice to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever you have a close game like this, it's good to see pressure shots being made. And Cole, head down sweeping, like he's been doing all game.
Yeah, they need to pay him the big bucks.
Yeah. Looks like Mike is yelling hard for line. And I think this stone was just a little lighter than all those other stones, and I think that's why it curled a little bit more. It does plug the hole, and it's going to be very hard for Hastings to get in there to sit to.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a bad outcome because you look at, okay, I didn't
if there's a tolerance,
yes,
that's where it's going to be, right?
Like, yeah, exactly. You look at the shot and you say, okay, I didn't make it, but what did I leave them?
Absolutely.
And if you don't leave them a lot, it's not as bad as it could
Absolutely.
be. So that was a good miss.
Yeah. The only shot I see is that blue-yellow tap to try and get to the forefoot, and I think that's what they're looking at here.
Do you ever think, Sam, that they could looking at the screen from the right side, do you think they could ever draw around all of that and have the rock curl in enough to bury behind the guard, but also be first or second shot?
It'd be a great shot. I think it's really tough.
Yeah.
You're going to have to butter those guards and hope it really finishes at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's makeable for sure. I just think the tap would have been a lot. There's no easy shot, but it would have been a little easier than the wide draw because no one's been this wide. Not sure how the rock's going to react. Mm-hmm. But there's no easy way of getting to that forefoot. So
yeah.
It's kind of choose your poison, and Ryan's more comfortable with this shot, and so you're the skip. You play what you're comfortable with, for sure.
Yeah, and I think one common theme we see throughout all of Rob Matheson's sheets of play is that it does get that finish at the end. Hogline in is where you're seeing, I'd say, half, if not a majority, of when it's going to curl. So I think that, keeping that in mind when you're calling the shot, favors the probability of the outcome being what they're looking for.
Especially weight control is really important, too. Mm-hmm. Like if you throw top 4, top 8 weight and your sweeper can finish it, I think it'll definitely curl as much as they want it to. And it looks like this is moving a little more than they wanted it to.
And Jordan's trying to hold it straight. Oh. It's just that the result of that shot just shows the quality of the surface. Absolutely. That you can get out that far into the 12-foot and still have that movement. It speaks volumes.
Absolutely. So now, if you're Dylan here, you're trying to think, what shot does Ryan have for 2? Right now, Ryan has the blue-yellow tap for 2, and I think that's, or the wide yellow tap for 2, which both shots are quite difficult. So it's a little risky playing this blue tab solely because if you open up the draw, then he has a little bit easier of a shot for 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate this.
I don't hate guarding. I don't hate the tap. It's just the tap is quite hard. But if you're confident in making it and putting the pressure on Ryan, if you tap this right to the back yellow, it'll be a great shot if the pressure's back on Team Hastings.
Yeah, and I think degree of difficulty is something to keep in mind when you're kind of constructing your ends and calling your shots. Because, like, if Stockton feels comfortable throwing this shot, then I would let him throw it.
Absolutely.
So I think that's really a key thing to keep in mind here.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? They know this side of the sheet. They know this path. You are tapping rock a good 15 feet, which makes the shot difficult, but you do know this side of the ice, so this should be...
Oh, line's close. They're going hard from line. Oh, whoa. Oh,
Whenever it's a whoa, yes, it's always tends to be close. Looks like this just
sweet.
over curled on them. And you know what? The way they made/missed that shot is they left the guard there. They nosed it. Ryan still has a very difficult shot for 2. And that was a really good attempt. Great weight.
No,
It just over curled on them.
perfect weight.
Yeah.
Just not the precision of line, but that speaks to what you were saying before, like
How difficult the shot was.
the farther the rock out is from the house, the more difficult it is to promote it as precisely as you want it to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And now it looks like they're playing the double tap because that is probably one of their only shots that they have for 2. So they're going to try and promote that blue-yellow into the 4-foot and get their 2. Another end with almost every single stone, if not every stone in play, I think. So that's always fun to watch.
Yeah.
As a viewer, for sure. As a person on the ice, it gets a little nervy probably, especially a skip.
Maybe some of the coaches behind the glass, teams that have that bigger lead, they're thinking, oh, okay, we can start hitting anytime.
In a close game like this, you just like to see the aggressiveness of both teams, for sure.
Exactly.
And with the 5-rock rule coming into play a couple years ago, I think that obviously was the main reason why it came into play, because they wanted more stones in play.
So Nathan's on the broom for this one. It's going to be a team shot here. All 3 of them are going to need to communicate to get the result they're looking for.
They're signaling heavy, but
oh, they're going for line.
You do have to hit both stones. And this looks close.
Oh, wow.
Just needs to sit.
Wow.
And drag effect kind of pushed it to the side there, and that was a really close attempt.
Oh, what?
And it just over curls.
Wow.
That was how close those stones are. That drag effect, they actually, to drag to the other blue one, they needed to hit on the other side of the stone. But great weight control, great team shot, and then just too much weight.
Yeah. No, and those sorts of shots kind of encompass what this whole game has been so far.
Absolutely.
A shot here or there, we can go through the port many times, make a double tap. It just, the quality of play for the first competitive game of their season is off the charts.
Yep, it's great. It's great to see.
So.
And just to update all across the sheets, Team Stratton has a 6-1 lead over Team Mayville. Our sheet, Team Hastings, has a 3-2 lead over Stockton. Team Jones has a 7-2 lead after Murray after 5 ends. And now Team Malima has a 4-3 lead over Team Dobson on sheet 5, going into the 6th end for all the sheets.
So Jordan here asked to call a guard, really going hard to get it over the line. first rock by Cole has to come around that guard placed there by Jordan.
And Micah sweeping head down the whole way. He says, you know what? I can sweep too. You guys keep talking about Cole and Jordan and Nathan.
Yeah.
It's a great sweep. It looks like it overcurled a little bit, so Ryan Hastings is calling the hit and roll under that very high center guard.
Yeah, the placement of that guard by Jordan will actually, it'll be interesting because it's one of those guards where sometimes people think, oh, it's so far away, but it really does have an impact on how the end shapes up.
Yeah, it still has, you still view it. And Jordan is, I like the hit weight they used, and
just needs to curl up a
just needs
smidge.
to move a little bit. And does the job. Hits the blue out of the play. Now if you're Dylan, you have hammer. It's 5-rock rule, so you can put up a corner guard in the 6th end. I wouldn't mind that when you're down 1. And it's handshakes on sheet 1. It looks like Team Stratton will be coming out with a win there after 6 ends.
A great draw from Team Stockton right there. I think they have the same sort of instance happen there. It overcurled, popped out the other side, but at the same time, it's still, you still have to make the hit, and that yellow guard is in the line of sight. So. A little bit wide there. Cole seems to be throwing, I believe,
Tight guard?
a tight guard or top 12 around
Looks
it,
like
I believe.
it's overcurling, and they're trying to go for plan B.
A little
Sit.
tick. Ooh, that
works. You know, they're very high guards, but it does the job. There is a port there that Ryan might try and get through. That looks like the call for Nathan to get through the port here. And I don't mind it at all, because you miss a little tight, you peel the corner, you miss a little wide, you peel your center guard, but with a 1-point lead, either way, peeling one of the guards, if you don't make through the hole, is just fine.
Yeah, I don't mind this, especially it's one of the first times that we've seen a team bail early on our sheet, so.
Just missed the run back, but it does the job and peels the guard. So
now I'm thinking if I'm Stockton, I'm either going to be throwing that guard or coming around the center, and I don't mind the guard call here, because that blue rock is in a good scoring position. It really is. So
yeah, Micah is going to come down and try to make a tight guard, but you know what? If you slide into the top 12, that isn't bad at all, because sitting 2 is never a bad thing. I do like the tight guard though, because it keeps the pressure on Ryan's team Hastings, to make the peels. Now looks like they're trying to go for another audible, and it needs to roll over, and it does. And you know what? The scoreboard does not have pictures on how you make the shot.
No.
That's still 100% on the stat sheet. So.
Yeah. No, it still works out there, and
Absolutely.
it's really something to see how much of a role these long guards are playing right now.
And it looks like Team Hastings, it looks like Matt is going to try and get through this tighter port here. It's quite it looks like it's a rock and a bit of a port here to try to get through. And just it needs to curl up a bit.
Oh.
Oh, that was really close. But it moves that center guard over, so that blue stone is a little more open. So let's see where Dylan decides to go. Center guard, protecting that stone that he has in there. You know what? That's never a bad thing. Whenever you see the opposing team peeling a guard, you see that they don't want the guard there, so you might as well just keep putting it back.
So, Sam, I'm just thinking, are there any other shots that could be called right now for the blue team? Anything else that you see besides the guard?
Absolutely. Micah could have drawn around that yellow, high yellow now corner guard. You could have tapped your blue stone and rolled under your corner guard.
Okay.
There's definitely other options, because like we said before, sitting 2 is never a bad thing.
Yeah.
But Micah makes the call that Dylan wanted.
It's a perfect shot.
Ryan Hastings has nothing to do but peel.
Yeah.
You could do a 2-for-1 and make the slash run back, which would be a great shot. Matt just threw this path, so you could go for a 2-for-1, but making the peel is just as good. Just to update sheet 4. Team Murray took 4 in the 6th end to make that a game. Now it is 7-6 going into the 7th. And
what a great shot.
If that blue rolls out, that is a great shot.
That's...
And not going to say I called it.
You didn't make it.
I play 100% back here.
No, that's a great shot, and it just speaks to the level of play that these athletes have. That doesn't. That's an excellent shot.
Now for Team Stockton, Micah is going to want to draw around these double corners here. He just threw a guard, so you just have to add about 10 more feet, 5 to 10 more feet for this draw. And he's calling heavy out of his hand. So hopefully the curl catches it and slows down. He thought Cole was sweeping a little bit too much this game.
He gave him a bit of a break.
Giving him a little bit of a break, and hopefully this stone hits the brakes a bit, which it looks
that,
like it is.
It is.
Wow, that caught the curl.
Yeah.
As soon as it crossed center, it really dove, and now it's buried above tee behind the corner guard. That's a great shot. Ryan Hastings, the only shot really is to follow him down and shrink the scoring area as much as possible.
Micah really said, anything you can do, I can do better right there.
Those are 2 great shots by the Vices.
Yeah, both great team shots.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you can see, we were talking about deliveries and how some people have their stones curl more than others. Ryan Hastings is taking a good 2 feet more than Micah just did. And that just shows where he knows where to put the broom for him. He knows that he needs more ice there. So that's good as a skip to know your own delivery, but also know your team's delivery and where you can put the broom. It'll be interesting to see when Ryan makes the shot where Dylan puts the broom for his. It's fun to, especially at this level, the U18 level of curling, it's really good to see that they're already noticing that. They already know where to put the broom for their team, and it's the first game of the competitive season, so it's great to see. Jordan will be sweeping this stone. Broom's already down.
Line looks close.
Yes. If the weight's good, this looks really close, because Micah's stone really curled right there, so not sure if they needed to switch there, but just weight came off as soon as it started to curl. Great line there, and great sweeping by Jordan, and just really slowed down as soon as it hit the curl there, like we saw with Micah's. Micah's looked heavy, and it really slowed down when it hit the curl.
So if you're Team Stockton right now, if you're Dylan, what are you thinking? You have hammer, you're playing the 6th end, where do you want this blue rock to be?
In the rings. That's the easy answer.
Okay.
More complicated answers, probably even with your blue one, if not deeper than, like you could go back 12 here.
True.
If you really want to, just so they don't have a hit and roll to be shot rock. And timeout for blue here, maybe. No one's looking up yet. Oh, the vice is looking up. Mike sees the coach. His job is to say, Dylan, we need a timeout. And that's what they're calling. So it gives these teams a chance to talk to their coaches. I think Team Stockton's coach is going to want to just tell them the importance of the shot, because like we said, in every other end, there's been big shots, and this is one of those big shots that, you know, if you put it in the rings, you put the pressure on Team Hastings to Ryan to make a good one. So I think they're going to call. I like the draw around the corner, just because how much it curls. It's going to be really tough to make a draw around that yellow.
Yeah.
So you know, even with their blue one back 8. You know, you don't want to be back 4 just because then Ryan will follow you and then you're getting forced.
Yeah.
So it's really important placement of the stone, and that's why I like the coach's timeout, because they just want to discuss where they want to place this stone. I think it's very important. I don't mind the wide draw to, you know, top 12 and make Ryan make a really good one, right?
Yeah.
Against 2 to try to force them, right? He also might be calling the guard so the tap's not there. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to call yet, but...
So, Sam, if you're in this situation, you're looking at the scoreboard, you're saying, this is the 6th end, which is, as many curlers know, an impactful end.
Yes.
You're sitting 1, it's buried under a bunch of stuff. Is it critical to score multiple in this end if you can?
Absolutely. I think that, especially when you're down 1, I think it's absolutely important to score. Even scoring 1 in the 6th, even though it'll be tied, I think it's important. I like that timeout because they got to discuss where they want to place the stone. It looks like it's running straighter than they wanted it to, and I think they just took more ice than they needed. If this rolls, though, it makes Ryan Hastings' shot here a little bit harder, because he just doesn't have a straight tap anymore. So now Ryan has to decide whether he wants to make the tap or make the straight draw through the difficult port.
Yeah.
So whatever he's more comfortable with.
So it looks like they're lining up the tap.
Yeah.
But
or the run.
Yeah. I think the other thing that the viewers at home need to take into account is that that gap between the blue and yellow rock there in the middle of the sheet, it is big, but considering how much it curls and how weight sensitive it is, it looks bigger than it feels.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that Team Hastings is taking into account when they're planning their shot, but it looks like... I don't know what it looks like they want to do. I think that's the ice for the draw.
The draw. Yeah, it looks like the ice for the draw. Both shots are there. Both shots are tough. So you just kind of got to decide which one you're more comfortable with. You know, even the yellows that are glued together on the left side, you could have tapped those 2 stones too, right behind the center guard. So it's whatever you're comfortable with, and I think he just threw this draw. It did come up light, but he knows the path. So if he adds 5-ish more feet of weight, and the sweeper and Nathan sweeps a little harder than he needs to most times, he's going to get through that port and make a nice draw. So another one of those big shots that we've been talking about that's been happening every end.
And I think those big shots are emphasized when you have such a tight game. That one shot here or there could really make the difference in deciding who wins this game.
Absolutely. And a lot of people, especially at this age group, you put a lot of pressure on your skips, but if your second or lead didn't put that guard there, then the shot would be easier for him, right? So it's definitely an absolutely team game, and I think the weight was close. I think it just ran a little straighter than they expected. Now Team Stockton is going to have a draw through the port for 2 here. It'll be interesting to see what ice Dylan picks, because he did take too much ice in the last shot that he threw. So I think about edge of 8 is probably really close for him, and it looks like that's where he's at. And we need paint for this draw.
Yeah. Well,
but whenever you're throwing draws like this, at least what I tell my sweepers is let's pin it, because it gets you ready, because you're about to get into the last 2 ends of the game where you might need to pin it to score. So it's really good to have a draw like this, to not think, oh, I need paint, but to think that let's just put it on the pin.
Yeah, and I think especially that mindset is really good, but also the sweeper and the team right now needs to understand that back 4 is okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't need a nibbler in the top 12 foot. Putting it back 4 foot, putting it back 8 foot is just as good. So aim for that pin, but know that your tolerance is a bit on the heavier side.
And what we've been seeing all game is Cole head down sweeping. And it gets through the port.
Oh. Whoa, I see arms up for a whoa. It looks good.
A great shot for 2, and for Stockton to take a 1-point lead going into the 7th end.
A really great line call by Mika there.
Absolutely.
I think
it's just a great team shot.
No, it is. Yeah. And I feel like we're a broken record saying it over and over again, but I think that's just the quality of play that we're seeing right now.
Absolutely. It's great to watch the first game of the season for these young men. And a great shot making every end so far in a close game. That's what we like to see as commentators. That's what maybe not all the parents want to see. Nerve-wise, sitting at their desk at work right now, watching the game, working hard.
Yeah.
But it's great for us, and it's great for the coaches. You definitely learn more in close games, whether you win or lose.
Yeah.
You definitely learn more in close games, so it's good to see.
And then just a quick sheet update. The aggressive play is really coming through. Malima took 4 in the 6th end to steal a 4. So they're winning 8-3. But I think one thing that we can keep in mind through that scoreboard is that all the teams tend to have a really aggressive mindset. So although the score is a little bit favoring Malima extremely, it's not over. If how many we've seen 3 4s and 1 3 in our first game, and I think if Team Dobson can put a 3 or 4 on the board, they're right back in it.
Absolutely.
So
I absolutely agree with you. And kind of the trend that we've been seeing all game is a tight center guard by the defensive team and a draw around the center guard by the offensive team. So it's good to see Stockton. It's good to see Cole put a nice center guard, and Jordan is trying to draw around it. And it looks like with a really good sweeping by Matt. Matt said, you know what, I'm a good sweeper too. We've been talking about everyone but him. It was a great sweep.
It was a great sweep. He
just came up just short, but it was a great sweep. And you know what? That's the control zone that every coach talks about, is owning that top 12 foot. And with your yellow there, it's not the end of the world at all. So now Dylan's asking Cole to draw around the 2 center guards there. And Micah says, I can sweep too. Great sweeping form of the U18. When I was
back in our day,
back in my day, 6 years ago when I was it was bantam back then.
Yeah.
We weren't sweeping as well as these guys are. You just learn to develop so early now in this sport compared to what it used to be, and it's great to see. It looks like Ryan's going to get Jordan to draw around the center guards that we have up here, and it looks like it's going to be one of those ends with every rock in play again, which is, you know what, I'm not going to complain about it.
Yeah,
It makes curling more fun.
No, exactly. So Jordan asked to go top 4 there. See,
It's the side, it's just over curling on them over here.
yeah, it's back to that side, and I think maybe when the athletes are throwing that side, making sure that you have those 4 rotations and have throw it so the weight's there.
Absolutely.
Not that it's just it needs sweeping, because if that's the case, it'll curl earlier, hit that break point, and you don't know if you can save it.
And it looks like Dylan is just, you know what, I'm going to go to the side that we may not know as well, but it might not curl as much as the other side. So I like this call, because one, you might need to know this path again later on in the weekend. I know this is the last time you're playing towards the 7th end, but in this game, but this looks really close by Cole and Micah. I think you're going to want to sweep.
I think they're just deciding if they want to leave it more of as an exposed guard to promote later, or try to see if it has the legs to bring it into the scoring zone.
Yeah, and it looks like one of those ends that first one to the top 4 is going to score with all those center guards. And I think Ryan's just looking at it saying, you know what, I wouldn't mind peeling. You know, just because you're down 1, you still have hammer, and with the 5-rock rule, down 1 width is actually percentage-wise still advantage. It's a lot closer than tied, but it depends as a team what comfortableness you have. You know, before the game, at least, you know, I think everyone talks about whether you rather be up 1 with or down 1 without. So do you want to blank this end if you're Ryan Hastings, or do you want to take 2 and be up 1 without? With all the rocks in play, you probably are going to want to try and go for your deuce now, which it looks like he's doing with this draw, and I like that. I like that call a lot. Nathan with looks like a little bit more rotation. They're calling heavy right now.
But as we've seen on this side, just because it's heavy out of the hand,
it's not going to curl.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I actually really like this call, because if you peel, you're giving the opportunity to your opponent to take that control of the control zone, unless you can make a quadruple peel with, as the rate that these athletes have been throwing, anything's possible. But I really like taking that aggressive approach.
Yeah, I like that call, and that rock stopped in the back 8 foot, and kind of similar to the 5th end.
Yeah.
It's time for freezes for both teams. So Mike is going to try and follow Nathan down here. And a good amount of rotation.
I think
so. This shouldn't over curl on them as much as these things have been. These rocks have been curling. Another big sweep by Cole here.
Wow.
And gets it by and gets it to shot rock. That's a great sweep and a great team shot. So now if you're Team Hastings, it looks like you can probably see maybe a piece of that stone.
Yeah, it looks like about maybe a quarter-ish.
Since it is your second's last, it's Nathan's last shot, I think it's time to throw the bomb down the middle and try to get rid of some of these center guards.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just because you made the call to come around on the 3rd stone of your team for this end, it doesn't mean that you can't switch gears. And really, if you think about it, that blue center line guard in the zone 2 position is preventing Team Hastings from using that really close yellow guard, which could be helpful.
Absolutely.
So I don't
mind chasing it, especially if we're not right behind the sheet, so they might see more than what we can see. But you know what, you miss narrow, you hit one of the guards, you'll be able to, the shot's a lot easier after, right?
Yeah, Jordan.
And if you make a hit and roll on one of the guards and you roll into the rings, that's just another point in the rings that Team Stockton's going to have to look at.
Oh.
So if this trickles in, just like I wrote it up to, it's a good plan B. It looks like
I think Jordan might have just nudged a rock when he was trying to sweep, but those sweepers are putting everything they have into it.
It's great for Dylan to, you know, it's Dylan's choice where that stone goes after the skip kicks it, and it's great that he moved it over more where he thought it was going to end. That's just etiquette of the sport, and it's great to see. And I like this call by Dylan to play the guard, try to, especially with, like, I know it's scary with those yellow stones in the rings there, but you have a blue in a really good spot.
Yeah, one thing I wouldn't mind seeing here, Sam, is that this guard is a key shot of the game.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't mind seeing Micah and Dylan maybe come down, talk about precisely where they want to place this guard, because this guard could be the difference between 1 point for blue or points for yellow.
Absolutely.
And being up 2 coming into the last end would be great.
And there's some discussion, especially talking about maybe you do want to play the hit, being up 1. Like maybe you don't mind giving up 2.
True.
Play the hit. But you know what? We've seen nothing but aggressive calls
to say
here.
the least.
So
yes.
that's a little deeper than what they wanted, but it's not an easy double. And if you make the double, the Yellowstone won't be in the rings, right? So that's what Ryan Hastings will call for Matt to make. And Matt made a similar run back in the last end, so this should be close.
Yeah. And I think, too, if Matt can get to the nose of that blue rock and make the double, the position of where his shooter would be would block that back yellow, which would also help them.
Yeah.
So it'll be close, I'm sure. Jordan bringing it back out to the broom. We'll see.
And you know what? That is a better miss than wide.
Yes.
Like we said before, those yellows are controlling that control zone, and that's only about a 4-foot run back for his next shot if Micah doesn't put this guard in a really good spot. So like you said before, Micah could have came down and really thought about where this position needs to be. But you know what? They are on a clock, and they need to be done their game before 2 hours and 30 minutes of play. So they also understand that as a team because we warned everybody before the game even started. So looks like Cole's sweeping hard for this to get over.
I tell you, they got a Cole lunch after this or something. Like, I know that Team Hastings has 4 players, and that means their front end gets to switch who's sweeping. But Cole is just putting everything he has into his sweeping, as well as Jordan.
And that's where 3 players comes into play, right? Like. This year you can get away with 3 players, but that sweeper gets quite tired.
Yes.
So we feel for you, Cole, a little bit. As a skip, I don't feel for you as much.
Yeah, we don't need
to sweep.
Yeah,
we don't have to sweep.
We don't. But, this is looking really good right now by Matt.
Sweep and hold the line.
Oh.
And it does jam. But you are sitting shot behind the 700 guards.
Yeah, I was going to say behind the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it looks like blue is second shot.
Yes, blue is second and yellow is third and fourth by the looks of it. But
so now if you're Dylan, you're probably trying to just draw to the back 4 foot. You know, if yellow was sitting second, you talk about playing the hit and roll.
Yes.
But they're not. So I think you just try to go T-line back 4 foot behind the Great Wall of China there.
Yeah.
And get behind.
What's the tolerance for this shot, Sam? I noticed that yellow has a lot of rocks above the T-line.
Yeah, I think right in that top 8 foot, even if you're not shot, like if you're half buried top 8, you really put your blue in a good spot. And on sheet 5, Team Dobson takes 1 and it's handshakes. So Team Malima takes the win there on sheet 5.
So another key shot here by Team Stockton. Shots like this, really team communication is vital here, and if you can make a good one, there's not much that Hastings can do about it, just due to the amount of rocks that are in play. So
looks like Cole's sweeping hard to get it by the center guards.
line's close.
Just over curls on them. I think if you had the T-line weight, you're getting by that guard.
I think if you have the T-line weight, I don't think you can access that blue one.
Yeah, absolutely. So now for Ryan Hastings, he's going to want to put this full eight, top 4 foot. And like we talked about tolerances, if he misses this top 12, even if you're not second shot, it's a great position to leave your rock. So I'm assuming Matt and Ryan are talking about that when it comes to that, but you always want to end the conversation with the shot that you want made. So they're going to want to put this about biting top 4 foot. It doesn't even need to be fully buried. Half to 3/4 buried would be a great shot. And he'll be telling his sweepers that right now, and it looks like Jordan's going to be sweeping his rock. And I think that's what Ryan's talking about, is just tolerance, where you want the rock to end, because this is one of those key shots that we have. And you know what, when a game is this close, every shot is a key shot, from your leads first stone to your skips last. And that's why it's a team sport. It's the game that the viewers back home love watching, love playing. Like this rock has a good amount of rotation. Sweeper is calling heavy right now, which looks like when it catches the curl, Matt said the line's close.
I think you need to go for line, guys. Ooh. Cutting it close.
And it
man.
looks like it's second shot. But as I discussed, in tolerance-wise, that is a great spot to leave your stone. Because even if you're not second shot, you can split for 3. You still have the draw through the port. And you know what? Pressure back on Dylan Stockton, because now he's going to have to make... I think he's going to have to try and draw through that tight port. So to the back 4, back 8 foot here.
Yeah, so I see that, Sam. My other question, though, is there's that blue guard in front, and I can't see the angle, but if there's enough of that yellow rock exposed, the angles are set up for a potential triple. And I don't know if they might not be able to see enough of it, so I could be mistaken. But I don't mind the draw if that's what they see. I think
if you're running a blue back,
maybe
it definitely would be more of a question, but I think you just have to play the draw through the hole. He just threw the draw. You know, he just needs to add about 5 to 8 more feet of weight with a little bit more ice and just bury this. Even if you're not first shot, if you're fully back 8 second shot, you're at least forcing Ryan Hastings to 2. You want to take 3 right out of the question. Right?
No, exactly. And I think that's where the draw is the better call. And the other thing is, too, is that the degree of difficulty on the draw is a lot less than other tap-ups or run-backs or whatever that you could establish.
I like this timeout because this is a very key shot of the game. And
I know.
It is the last timeout on this sheet, so the coaches are going to have to sit on their hands for the rest of the game, or at least the last the 8th end. But I think it's really important. This is going to be, could be what ends or what breaks the game.
Yeah, well...
If you put this in a really good spot, Ryan's going to have to follow you down with a great shot. So that's probably what the coach is discussing.
And as a past player, I really enjoy the coach coming out, kind of asking what they see, what they think the options are, and just bringing everybody on the same page, because this shot really could determine the outcome of the game. And I think having that extra communication, extra reassurance is really vital to ensuring the optimal result for the shot.
I absolutely agree with you. It's just the biggest shot of the game so far, right?
Yeah.
It'll be, and then Ryan's next shot will be the next biggest shot of the game.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like we've had 16 biggest shots of the game, and it's a 1-point difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, that's the beauty of our sport, is every end is important, from the first to the last end. And both these skips are going to have some high pressure shots for these last 2 shots of this end. Dylan's doing exactly what the commentators said. He looks like he's playing the draw to the back forefoot. And he's just telling Micah that, you know what, if I'm wide and heavy, let's rub off this corner guard into the center. This looks like what he was trying to go there. Just giving Micah every possible scenario that might happen, because you know, in your head you're not thinking light, because that's what just happened. So
yeah. So it looks like they're trying to wick off the guard to make that port a little bit smaller. So I think this is a time where, if that top Yellowstone is second shot, this could be a game, like, it could open the game up for the first time, and it's super critical that it's the 7th end.
yeah.
So
Now Ryan needs to decide whether he wants to play the tap or the draw through the hole. And on sheet 4, Team Jones forces Team Murray to 1 in the 8th end, so Team Jones takes the win, 8-7. So I like that the whole team's communicating about this shot, because it's a big shot. Like, you are sitting to, at least my eye says you're sitting to, what is the easiest shot to score 3 or more? It looks like they're taking the aggressive route. It looks like they're taking the aggressive route and trying to end the game right now with a hack weight hit through the hole for 4. So, you know what? If your skip likes it, why not throw it? And if you're playing hack, if you rub off that corner guard and into the rings, you're going to get your 3 anyways. So I like the deep breath that Ryan's taking before this shot, and you know what, he likes it. I like the call too. And this looks a little tight, so it looks like maybe an audible and play a tap. And I think that's what Nathan's sweeping for, is kind of the audible.
What does the weight look like? Oh, it's close.
And the audible works. It looks like 3 yellow. And Micah's going to take another look.
Yeah, I think it's important here that...
It's a big point.
It is.
It's a big point.
And it's important
if you're looking at more than 2 or 3 times, then you should absolutely measure.
Yeah, and I think if I was a Vice, I would insist on it, just because you never know, right?
That is absolutely true.
And I like to see that other members of the team aren't in the house crowding the house, because that's when a miscommunication happens and a rock gets moved that the Vices determined needed a measure.
Yeah, and the rule behind that is whatever team, if one team kicks it, then the point will go to the other team, because that's just the rule. It's happened before in every level of curling.
So we saw them
looks like
move
they
the rock.
moved it, so they either conceded 3 or they both agreed that it was 2 points. We'll find out when the score goes up, I guess.
I know, the suspense. This game
It is the last game on the ice, and it's a stream sheet. It's like a provincial final almost playing the last end, the first game of the season.
No, and honestly, the quality has been there for
Yeah.
a provincial final. We have run backs, we have doubles, draws to the forefoot. It has everything you need. So, no, and I think it'll be interesting to see how
Micah's putting it up right away for us, and they agreed on 3. So Team Hastings has a 2-point lead going into the last end.
And I think this is interesting to see where the strategy for the last end is for these teams.
Yeah.
Some people have those set scenarios of, oh, we're up 2 without in the last end, or we are down 1 with in the last end. What's the strategy?
Every team is different. You know, some teams would have put their first stone top forefoot when you're only up 2 with the 5 rock rule. Other teams would throw it through, and you know, some teams would throw the center guard. That's just because that's what they like.
Yeah.
It looks like Cole wants to put this a nice tight center. They want to play to the center and try to score there too. And it just looks like it's got it's trying to sit for him.
Oh.
See if it sneaks in. Well, they decided to sweep to make it good. So your lead stone slips in, but the beauty of the 5 rock rule is he'll have another attempt to make a guard.
And yeah, no, exactly. And that the beauty of it is they actually have 2 more attempts to make it, if I remember correctly. Because the second on Team Hastings won't be able to peel it, if I'm not mistaken. So,
trying to do the math in your head.
I could be mistaken. I'm not sure.
Well, and Jordan makes no mistake.
It really just
took off. It looked like he had a piece of the rock there, but
yeah,
it really took off at the end. And now Cole gets a second chance on the guard, and now he gets to guard the one that's in the top forefoot.
No, I really like this call because to generate those multiple points, Team Stockton is going to need that little bit of junk, a little bit of security that's in the guard zone to hide behind, maneuver, finesse their way to 2, maybe even more points.
And we haven't had an end without a guard. So
that's putting it one way, yes.
Yeah. Looks like this guard overcurls, but it's going to Micah sweeping it to make it a corner guard, and Team Hastings gets a chance at the hit again. And looks like Ryan's giving him a little more ice, and Nathan's gonna make this hit and stick.
So I'm interested to see here what kind of weight that they're calling to throw this hit. I'm gonna get it on the clock. In certain situations, especially in the last end, it's interesting to see what sorts of weight that certain teams throw at different shots. I know some teams that throw it as hard as they can just to make sure they remove it, whereas others kind of tend to finesse it a little bit.
And Matt sweeping end to end to try and hold this stone, and it just overcurls on them.
So I got about a 9-second hog-to-hog hit. So
I like that weight.
I do too. It was a solid weight. So yeah. I just, the ice as the game progresses just seems to be curling more and more.
Yep. So. And it looks like Cole is going to attempt this guard for the 3rd time.
Third time's the charm.
You know, it just overcurled for him on the 2nd time, and now the line looks a lot better. And it's just that side. That side is curling hard, and we'll see if that's a consistent thing going throughout the weekend, as this is the stream sheet. Looks like Micah was trying to sweep that, maybe to bite the top 12. But you know what? Guards are never a bad thing when you're down 2.
No, exactly. And I think it's nice, too, that they're somewhat staggered, or at least in the same area, because it makes it wider spot for your own rocks to hide behind.
Yeah. And now, as we talk about pressure shots, every position has a pressure shot. Nathan, this is his pressure shot, making the hit and roll under those guards. And it looks like
right out of his hand.
He has a little bit better line here, and Jordan is sweeping the whole way.
Oh, it's very close.
And that's a great shot by Nathan.
That's textbook.
Yep. And now if you're Dylan, you're trying to draw top forefoot around the guard that you just put up there. Or you could also split that tight one.
I don't mind the split on the tight one. I just don't think this rock is the right one to call that.
Yeah, I agree. I like putting a really good one top four, back four, as long as you're shot rock. Obviously top four is more preferable.
Yeah.
But let's see where this goes.
Well, I think the mission right now is first shot and behind the guards.
Yeah.
And I think this side, because of how much it swings, gives the advantage to the thrower to get those stones buried.
Absolutely. This looks like another big sweep by Cole, just to make it biting. Oh, but you know what? The blue is in that control zone.
And it is.
And even though you're buried behind those guards, you're really tempted when you're up two to peel them. Because you know what? Any guard in play is an advantage for Team Stockton. So.
Yeah, as Stu Anderson once put it, any rock is a bad rock.
Yeah,
when you're up.
Absolutely.
So I think it's I wouldn't mind the peel. I think you just have to make sure that when you're determining what you're going to peel and how you're going to peel it, that you are positive that it's not going to jam onto that back yellow one.
Yeah, you have to be positive about what the angles you're going to hit. I like this peel because it's really hard to jam on that yellow one. Because you're peeling those into those blue ones, trying to get rid of two blue stones. Even if you just get rid of one, it helps.
Jordan on the sweep for this rock, thrown by Matthew. Looks close.
It looks like they're going to get rid of...
Wow.
It's a great shot.
Matt again with a great up-weight shot to kind of open things up.
Yeah, absolutely. Now for Stockton, you have two corner guards. I don't mind the hit tap, the hit roll under. Just get a blue in the rings, right? Because obviously you do need 2 points to make this an extra end.
Sam, I'm just curious, what do you think about the freeze on this Yellowstone right now? If you're blue, you're trying to generate a multiple score. If you freeze on that rock, you're using the protection of the yellow and the protection of the blue guard.
Yeah, I like the freeze, the tap and roll, like I said. All good shots. You know what this is? Over curling. But if they hit it thick enough,
stick with the roll.
The blue might stick around. It's trying.
It's really
it will stick around. No, I'm confident.
I know it'll stick around.
And you know what? That is not. You know what? Guards do help you, but that isn't a bad miss because now Team Hastings has to go out where no one has been out. No one's been out here yet. You don't know how it's going to react. And if you're Matt, you got to remember that. If you're Matt, you have to remember what the miss is. I like the weight they chose, big heavy weight like he just threw. He's been really accurate with his big weight. And you really don't need to stick around. You just need to hit granite like he did. That's a great shot.
I feel like you almost don't want to stick around.
You don't, really. And now if you're Dylan, you're going to want to draw around your corner or make a nice hit and roll around the other corner. And he's choosing the hit and roll.
I don't mind.
I don't mind it at all. It's whatever you're most comfortable with as a team. I think you can't go wrong either way. The hit and roll is probably a little harder than the draw, but made, it's a great shot because now you're sitting one buried. So.
Well, I think.
And Micah just threw it.
Yeah, so. And I think it's more important about making the shot. It doesn't necessarily matter what the shot is. Right now, you're just trying to set up. You're just trying to set up the best thing possible.
And it just hits it on the nose. But you know what? It gives a stone where Ryan has to hit the rock out, right? He's not aiming at nothing, right?
Yeah.
He has to make his shot.
And I think here as well, I think if you see a Hastings rollout here, you might see Stockton either try to come around his own corner guard or potentially try to make that split there. The split would be tricky, but it would be a fast and easy way to get 2 points in the rings, which could translate to 2 points on the board.
Absolutely. I'd probably save my split for the last stone, and maybe if Ryan does roll out here, draw around the yellow.
Yeah.
Just so if Ryan hits the guard, you can have a split for the win. And whether you just make the tap for 2 and the extra,
Mhm.
that's perfectly fine as well.
So you would rather leave the split for your last shot instead of playing it on the first shot.
Yeah, I think so. Because I think I have confidence in drawing around that yellow and making a good one. But Ryan looks like he has a good stone coming here.
Oh,
Jordan, I
Jordan
think,
on and
needs to
off.
sweep.
It's close.
And that's a great shot. And all of the scenarios we just talked about is out the window.
Yeah. Ryan really, that's the best thing that he could have done in that situation.
Yeah, hit and stick is huge there because now they can't split. If you're Dylan, you make the hit and roll or you decide on the draw.
If I'm Dylan, I almost don't hate the draw around their own rock, forcing them to kind of make some sort of play, potentially draw an error out of Ryan. Maybe he removes his own rock, and then you have the split for the win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what, when they rewatch this game, they're going to go back and they're going to be like, you know what, next time I'm going to play the draw. Because the hit and roll is a much harder shot than the draw is.
The degree of difficulty is higher on it.
But you know what? He's going to make it, and he's going to make us bite our tongues like he has
like all
game.
Yeah.
And he seems like he has a lot more confidence in his hits than his draws, so this should be very close.
Yeah, well, playing to the player's preference is important.
Absolutely.
Oh, it looks like it's
Cole's
coming
trying
now.
to make it curl.
I like the weight they threw on it. A little bit of a softer weight. Easy for the sweeper to manipulate, which is good.
Oh, really good attempt on the hit and roll. Just doesn't roll quite far enough, and Ryan will have an open hit for the win.
So I think this shot as a past skip, all you're thinking is last stone in practice. Just like it normally is, always just take your deep breath, go through your pre-shot routine, and just get rid of it. And don't think about the game, don't think about the win-loss, just think about throwing it clean and having a crisp release.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter if you're throwing the last rock at the Briar or you're throwing this nose hit for the win here at Dundas Valley Golf and Country Club. It's the same thing. Same routine, take that breath, make the blue rock disappear. And actually, you do want to stick around so blue can't make that split for the tie.
That is very true.
But goal number 1, make the blue rock disappear.
Yeah.
And it looks like Nathan's going to have a big sweep here.
They're really going hard for it.
He's trying. Gets a piece of the stone, and now Dylan will have... It's not an easy split. It looks like it's 1.5 feet outside of the rings. But it's there, for sure. Hack weight, back line to hack weight, hit about 1/4 of the stone, like Dylan's saying, and you might as well throw it.
No, exactly. It's the only shot that's there for the tie.
Yeah.
And I like to see that dialogue between Mika and Dylan being very decisive, very concise, and just, I'm going to throw the shot, I'm going to make the shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because sometimes if you overanalyze a shot of this caliber, you actually do yourself worse to end up executing it. So.
Absolutely. They already decided, if Ryan rolls out, this is the shot. And you know what? I think he's going to be real close. It's kind of the similar weight of he just threw for his hit, like a little less than what he just threw, but a hack weight. And I think they took the appropriate amount of ice, how much is curling on that side.
So this is a huge team shot here by Dylan Stockton, trying to
Looks
get...
like it's hanging a little bit, needs to curl. Make it the other way.
Potentially.
Could make it the other way. If Cole's trying to make it sweet, trying to make it curl, just under curls. Great weight.
Yeah.
That's the exact weight we wanted.
It
just didn't move as much as they seen, and it looks like broom touches.
Yeah.
And that was a great first game of our broadcast this weekend. Team Hastings takes the win 6-4 after 8 ends. That was a great game, and I hope the rest of the games this weekend are like that.
I know those athletes definitely put on a show to be proud of, a performance that was worth it, and they'll have great games to come in the next few days.
Absolutely. We have the women's draw starting at a time 12:30 is first practice. So the game starts at 12:50 p.m. tomorrow. So we'll see you in 50 minutes.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.